Excellent. All right. So, no questions from what we did last time. So, the place we left you at was we explored the problem, but then I made you very aware that that's all we've done over the last, I think, 3, 4, maybe 5 sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we want to put this idea aside of exploring the problem just to look at the next step because you should have in the back of your mind and be wondering, what do we do next? What is the whole purpose of what we've been doing so far? What do we do once a client's in trance? And essentially, the overall theme is how do we utilize the very trance that has been created naturally? Okay. And that's the key word. Although it's been a little bit strenuous, it does get a little bit confusing. And we're looking at hypnosis that should not make sense. And what I mean by this is I'm teaching you a way to be very abstract, but at the same time be logical. So we're using both of your hemispheres at the same time, which is why people get very overloaded with this process. It
Yeah.
seems to not make sense. But you probably also agree, or hopefully you do, you notice some things make sense, others don't make sense, but at the same time it does at the same time? Have you been noticing that?
Absolutely. I understand in a second, and I think about it when we finish a session, and I don't understand it again, and
Yes,
yeah, it's like yo-yo going up and down. Yes.
correct. And get very used to this because, well, think about it when you treat clients. Is this not the reaction they have when you're treating them? They sort
Yes.
of can understand you a little bit. They sort of look and go, I don't know what I'm supposed to be thinking or feeling. But then
Yes.
they do feel something, it shocks them, and they think, wow, where did this come from?
Yes.
And then they get used to that. And then that's why we need to keep chopping and changing approaches and going so direct, indirect, inside out, back to front, whatever the case may be. It's for that same process. Now, I'm teaching you a way to do hypnosis that logically and consciously cannot make sense. It is impossible. As soon as you become abstract, you need to be creative. Okay, so what I want to do today is move past the exploring of the problem. Now we're going to come back to it. Now let's look at what do we do next. Now the frame I'm going to set us in and the process I'm going to set us in, let's say for this entire session, we have a client sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
We can see just by exploring the problem, they're on the cusp of going into something. They're right on the cliff's edge, and all we'd have to do is just tap them slightly and they'd fall into trance. Okay? So
Yes.
the next part is we need to add something called process instructions. Okay? So process instruction is giving a client a clear direction for what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say, for example, a client looks like they're going into trance, they're right on that trance edge. What do you think, logically, would be the next step for them to do?
Well, like you said, push them further.
Exactly, we're going to push them into trance.
Yeah.
We're going to take them from the last bit of consciousness left and say, nope, go that way. Once we nudge them, then they go into that trance of infinite possibilities. They go to a place where they're going to find the resources, where we can do the therapy.
Yeah.
Okay? But realize as well, we've done something very ingenious. We have explored the problem and we've unstuck thinking. So by now, if we do a good enough job, even if a client reflects on the problem before they actually go into the quote unquote hypnotic trance, the problem will already be starting to change because we've unstuck the way they normally think about it. So essentially what we're doing is we're actually doing the therapy before we actually start the therapy.
That's correct.
Okay, we're clearing out all the rubbish so when they go into trance, there's no negative thinking there, there's no roadblocks because it's all been taken care of. So
Yeah.
this last part is just enhancing the trance, and we really don't have to do a lot at this point. There's many things we can do, but this is where we can really have some fun in an ethical way, but fun in terms of we can really start to play with the unconscious mind in such a powerful way that our clients just break through challenges, problems, emotions so quickly that it's at such speed that a client will almost come out of trance going, wow, that was quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the reason we can do this is because we've got rid of all the junk beforehand. What do you
Yes.
think would happen if we took the classical approach, which is to talk about the problem a little bit and then put a client into trance? What type of trance or what type of things do you think are going to come up in that trance that would stop the very results we're after?
First of all, you can the client can have up reaction.
Absolutely, because we haven't cleared away any of the emotion. Absolutely. What else?
Well, the client can also come up with thousands other ways of how to make this problem bigger.
Exactly. And if they're in trance, that's the last place you want them doing that.
Yeah.
And this will you'll tend to hear this from clients as when they come out of trance and you go, how do you feel? And they go, I feel worse.
Yeah.
It's because you've put them in a place and they brought all the baggage with them.
Yeah.
So what we've done is said, nope, put that baggage down, leave it there. Now let's go through the door of trance. We can come back to that afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see the almost, we're doing this in a very strategic way, but almost doing things back to front. Okay.
Enough, yes.
Okay.
But
So,
in a good way, yes.
yes. All right. So any questions from that so far? We've just laid down the intellectual properties of today's session. Any questions from that so far before we actually get into something?
No.
Okay. So let's look at process instructions. A process instruction, logically, or on a very basic level, is telling a client what to do next, which will be go into trance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now there's many ways we can do this. Okay. We can do this directly, and we can do this indirectly, or in other words, covert or overt. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A very classical process instruction for putting a client into trance would be this: close your eyes and go into trance.
So that is the directly.
Very direct, and it's a classical.
Yeah.
Even if you've never studied hypnosis before, that's what most of society would be pretty much attuned to.
Yeah.
And it's a process instruction.
Close your eyes, relax. Yeah.
Close your eyes, relax, feel comfort, and go into trance. It's a very direct way to put somebody into trance. Now, there's nothing wrong with this approach, and sometimes it's enough with your authority as a hypnotist that you can say to a client, you know what, go into trance. And that's enough. That's all they need, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to give you one way to do things. Now, why do you think this would be?
Because if the client is not responding directly, I can't help.
Yeah, that's right. We could have a client so far on the edge of that cliff where they're almost on their tippy toes. All it would take would be for a strong wind to come by and knock them over. And we say, that's right, go into trance. And the word trance freaks them out. And they go, what? No. Because at some point, the trance they're about to go into, they might not have even been aware that they're at that point. And that can sometimes be enough to pull them out. Do you see how that could work?
Yes.
Okay. In other words, being too direct, a client could still argue with you.
Yes.
Okay. But sometimes it's enough where you can look at a client, you can see their eyes are almost rolling in the back of their head. They're almost saying in the back of their mind, oh my God, just let me go into this. And you're being a little bit cheeky and saying, not yet. Mm-hmm. Let's play with this a little bit more. And you can look at them and say, that's it. Now go into trance, and then we can start the therapy. And it's enough where they close their eyes. The unconscious mind will take the hint and they'll go into something, and then we can tell stories and do all that sort of stuff. Okay, that's the direct way or the overt way.
Yeah.
What I like to do and what I prefer to do, and something we've been teaching the other students to do, is do it covertly or do it overtly. Okay. We want to give our client, using the same strategy of, close your eyes and go into trance. How can we make that process instruction more covert? What's the one thing, and it's actually been the same theme we've been repeating for our last 4 to 5 sessions by exploring the problem. How do we now do that same thing with this process instruction? What do you think we have to do?
Just reassure them and,
But how can we turn a direct suggestion or process instruction into more covert? What type of language would we have to use? What would we have to do to it?
Well, we can use the mind-bending language.
Yep. So we need to make the instruction abstract.
Yes.
So we can still give the same message, which is close your eyes, go into trance. But the easiest way to do this at this point, I think you'll find this extremely fun, because I like having a lot of fun at this point, is to take out all the conscious content out of that suggestion.
What do you mean by taking all the conscious content? So that's when you go crazy with your language.
Not so much crazy with the language, and that's a good question you asked. Let's think of this. Have you heard this statement before? That's right.
Yes.
Now this is from Milton Erickson.
That's your favorite statement.
Okay, I love it, because it's an overt process instruction. So when I'm seeing the unconscious moments in my client, so to speak, and I'm looking at them a little cheeky smile and saying, that's right, what am I talking to? What am I talking about? That's right to what?
Anything.
Exactly. And it takes my client's understanding to figure out what the hell I'm talking about. If their hand's twitching and I see it, I'm just going to look at them and go, that's right.
Yeah.
And in their head, they're going to go, what's right? What did I do? What? But it's essentially at that point, I'm talking to the unconscious mind saying, I saw that, do more of it.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, with enough of those overt process instructions, they will get the hint. But if I say, that's right, that hand is twitching now and it's going to start to lift, it could be too direct.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be indirect. I want to be covert at that point. So let's use the theme or the suggestion. Process instruction is just a suggestion of close your eyes and go into trance. Now, what are the conscious framework inside of that suggestion?
Conscious.
Yes. What's the logical stuff in that suggestion? Let me give you the first one. Close your eyes. Is that not a direct suggestion?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. There's nothing indirect. It's straight to the point.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay. What other part of that sentence is very conscious? And to give you a hint, it's the second part of the sentence.
About your eyes.
Yeah. So you got close your eyes. That's conscious. And what's the next part of the sentence?
This is one. You lost me. Close your eyes is a direct.
Yep. Direct. Yep.
You're just asking your client to close their eyes, and then you stay. And then if you keep going and saying about relax.
Well, before that, let's say the whole sentence is, the whole process instruction is, close your eyes and go into trance.
Yeah, go into trance.
So that would be another direct suggestion, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing is conscious.
Yes.
So how can we have them move in that direction, but take out all the conscious content? This is where your abstract thinking comes in really perfectly. Okay? So let me give you what I mean. Let me give you the example, and hope we can have a discussion if you agree or don't agree, or if you're not too sure if that's the right way you would do it. Okay? So let's say we had yourself, you said to a client, close your eyes and go into trance. And then it was my turn to work with my client. I might just say, that's right, all the way.
That's it.
Simple, right? But does it not move in the same direction?
Yes. That's right, all the way. And
that's right, all the way. But what am I talking about? Am I not saying the same thing as you, but just in an abstract way?
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Okay. So what's the reason for doing this, do you think? What is the reason between being more abstract at this point? What am I trying to elicit in my client?
To put him in a deeper
trance. Yep, so put him into a trance. Yep, what else? Why would I be abstract?
To communicate with subconscious mind.
Yes, absolutely. What else?
Because whatever you're saying, it has no limits. It's very open.
Excellent.
Beautiful. Really.
Now we're getting there, so it's very open. It's limitless. Okay. And by being abstract, what does my client have to do to make sense of it?
Nothing really.
Okay. So if they're doing nothing with it, it probably means they're not paying attention to it.
Oh, they just have to be in trance. And
what would they have to do to make sense of the abstract process instruction?
They need to be in trance.
Yep, so that'll be where they'll end up. They don't necessarily have to be in trance to understand it.
But they have to be relaxed, and they have to... They don't really have to close their eyes, because conversational hypnosis works both ways.
Yep, so that'll be the end result. So that's the strategy we're going for. But by giving an abstract question or statement, what do our clients have to do to make sense of it?
Stop thinking.
Well, they actually need to think to try and understand it. And we know what happens when we try and understand an abstract statement, don't we?
They go into trance.
Exactly. And that's what we've been doing with all this other language stuff.
Okay, so you have to make them. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So they start thinking.
Yes. And while thinking, they're going, what are you talking about? What? I'm so confused. This just adds more layers onto this trance where the whole unconscious mind just goes, you know what? Let's just go into this trance.
So
Because a client's conscious mind is so limited at that point, that fight of trying to understand it will just exhaust them even more, and that trance will be even more profound.
yes.
Because they've got no brain power to understand it. So just that little thought of saying that, and they go, what are you talking about? Oh, this is too hard, I'm going into it.
Yes.
It becomes irresistible at that point.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Okay. If we're abstract and we say that's right all the way down, and our client goes, what are you talking about? What do you mean all the way down? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What has that just told us about the trance, or about the state that they're in?
Well, they're not in trance yet.
Yeah, they're not there yet. It's too early.
Yeah.
So if they're taking the abstract question and trying to understand it, there's a difference between trying to understand it, which was what we want, that'll put them into trance, and understanding it and verbalizing and then asking us a question about it. It means that they're not close to where they need to be. They're too far away from the cliff.
Yes.
Does that all make sense? It is a little bit confusing.
No, it makes sense. It does make sense. Yes.
So you can see how we've got a very conscious or a very straight to the point suggestion, which is close your eyes and go into trance.
Yeah.
Let's think of as many abstract versions of this. And the key here is the less words, the better. Okay. Milton Erickson's favorite was to even get past the "that's right," which is 2 words essentially. He would just look at clients and just smile and nod his head. This is where the using a very covert approach for a non-verbal induction.
Amazing, huh?
I mean, that takes a genius to think of that.
Yeah.
But he's setting the frame in the exact same way, where the classical hypnotist is taught to say, go into trance. He just looks at them and smiles when they're at that point and does the same thing. But his version is so abstract that it adds so many layers of confusion that, of course, people go into trance when they're around him.
Well, this guy is looking at me and smiling like, yeah.
That's right. And putting pressure with eye contact, you're thinking, geez, what's going on? Why do I feel really weird? Where did this trance come from? I didn't even feel it until now. And then by then, he's got you.
Yes.
Okay. So let's think of some different abstract versions of close your eyes and go into trance. So I'll give you my first one, which was, that's right, all the way down. Now, essentially, we're saying go all the way down into trance. But I could say that, but it'd be very conscious, wouldn't it?
Well, it is in a way, yes.
Yeah. If we said to a client, well, what do you think? Which one is more abstract? That's right, all the way down, or that's right, go all the way down into trance. Which one's more abstract?
The first one.
Exactly. So you understand the pattern?
Yes.
Took out the words of trance.
Yes.
You said all the way, or even just saying all the way. It's the exact same message. Okay, so let's have a think. Put your thinking cap on, so to speak.
Yep.
Throw me a process instruction that would have the same meaning as, that's right, go into trance. Oh, sorry, close your eyes and go into trance.
Oh, okay. Go there would be good.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a brilliant one. Could you imagine looking at a client with a little cheeky smile and say, that's right, go there.
Go there.
There you go. Go there. And you'll be saying the words go there when you saw these unconscious moments. When you see them really start to blink, there you go. Just go there. And they're thinking, go there. Where? What are you talking about? Too late. They're in.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Write that one down. Brilliant.
I did.
Okay, that could be your Milton Erickson line.
Okay.
Wouldn't surprise me if I steal that at some point. I really like that one. Okay.
Also, it's you haven't used it yet.
I've not used it yet, and the word is yet.
That's what I said.
So let me give you another one from my tool bag. Could be there you go.
Yeah.
It's very natural, easy, something easy to say. It rolls off the tongue. You see an unconscious moment, like heavy shift in breathing, and then you say, that's it, there you go. And they're thinking, there I go, what did I do? There you go. That's it, there you go. And the whole time you're saying this at the same point of seeing these unconscious moments, could you see how much pressure you're putting on a client for them to try and figure out what the hell you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think of another one for yourself. What else?
That's right. You're nearly there.
Beautiful. Again, think about this. I'm glad you're picking this up. This is brilliant. Clients in there going, nearly there where? What are you talking about? Nearly there where? And it's enough where you're putting pressure on them to think. Brilliant one. I really like that.
Okay.
Okay. It adds that sense of, or adds a layer of confusion and becomes so limitless that they'll make up their own mind. They'll make their own direction about where they're headed. The only place they can head is trance because it's right there in front of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one could be more and more.
Yes.
So you see a client going into trance. There you go. More and more now. They're going, what? That's it. More and more now. There you go. More and more. Okay. And if you're using your tone correctly, your hypnotic voice,
Yep.
that should be sub-communicating a trance-like state or a relaxed type state. Okay. So again, let's get another one from yourself.
I don't have any.
Just think of something one more, just so we've got a good list. There'll be something you can add to at another point.
That's right. That way.
Excellent. That's right, that way. And this is a very unique one. I like this because if a client's coming out of trance into more conscious, you could say, no, not that way, that way. And if you see them start going back into trance, that's it, that way. All the way that way now. Brilliant. Very good job. So you've got a good list in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So now is when do we do it and how do we create perfect timing? Okay. Now we have the list. This is the easy part. We need to think about delivery and timing. Now I've already taken the cat out of the bag, so to speak. And when is the perfect time to say something like that's right or more and more or that way? When is the perfect time to do this? Not essentially saying when they're about to go into trance, but at what point, what should you be seeing before you say these?
All the visual signs that the client is going into trance.
Yes.
That at the edge of the cliff.
Yes.
But only after we discuss the issue, the problem, like you said, a little coaching before. So put the client in a different set of mind, a different way of thinking. So the blockages are gone. The client is nearly in the trance, and that's where you just push it further.
Excellent. Beautiful. So that's exactly when it should be done. You know, you do all the stuff beforehand, and as you see them about to fall off the cliff, we use that process instruction just to go, that's it, go that way instead. Off the cliff, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. But think about this as well. Well, in addition to what you said, could these little sentences not be used throughout the whole interaction to reinforce the unconscious moments?
Yeah, you could.
Of course you could. Let's think of this. Let's say you ask a question like, so what's the problem? And on the first question, they go, well, or it's, and you can see them struggling to answer. This is where we could go, that's right, there you go. Do you see how strategic that could be?
Yeah, I can see that.
You're reinforcing the unconscious moment, aren't you?
Yes.
And that's the whole premise of our approach, especially just the way that I view hypnosis, is that any time you see an unconscious moment is to drop what you're doing and reinforce it. It just means the trance is happening already, which means they're already close to the cliff as it is.
Yes, but then you need to take them out to actually discuss the problem, the issue.
And that'll come already as you ask the next question. But let me ask you this. Okay. What's more important? And you might have to think about this. What's more important? The unconscious moment you're reinforcing or the next question you have for them?
That is
That's
okay.
right.
Okay. They're equally important depending on where I am at this moment.
Okay, let me ask you this. What's more important, to have more information about the problem or more unconscious moments?
I think more unconscious moments.
That's right. Just in this style anyway. That's not to say it's in gospel. But
No.
let's say after the first question you're getting such a big unconscious moment. Why would you stop this to ask a conscious question? I'm
Yeah.
more interested, or we should be more interested, what can our client not answer compared to what they can? Because aren't most of the answers they're giving us just normal conscious fluff that mean nothing to the problem anyway?
Yeah.
So if you get them on the first question, keep them there. So let me give you an example of how this would sound. So I've asked my client, what's the problem? And they're going, well, it's sort of, and we're going, that's right, there you go. And you can see them pausing. And they go, well, the problem is I want to give up smoking. Excellent. But what happened before that? Oh, I was getting really confused. You were confused, weren't you? But I really want to quit. I know that, but what was happening just before that? What was happening while you're confused? Well, I started to feel really unusual. You did, didn't you? So do you see how I'm saying we're essentially doing, don't tell me more about the smoking. What happened before that?
Yes.
It was one question. What made you have to think so hard about the question? What was occurring at that point?
Yes.
Because that is when the unconscious moment is what I want you to pay attention to. That's when the unconscious moment is expressing itself. It's there. It's in front of you. The trance is right there. It's like the unconscious mind is slapping you with a wet fish and saying, I'm here already. Let's play.
Yes.
But consciously, that's where the problems come in. Consciously, a client thinks they need to answer all your questions, but we know they do not. But we can't say that to a client. We can't say, well, there's going to be some questions you can answer, some you can't. It's irrelevant.
Isn't this the problem only exists
Consciously.
because we have the conscious mind?
That's right. It fuels the problem.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's give you another example. Let's say we've said, what's the problem? They go, well, I want to quit smoking.
Yeah.
What type of answer is that? Conscious or unconscious?
Conscious.
Okay. What if the answer's like this? Well, I really, really want to quit smoking. Conscious or unconscious?
That is more unconscious.
Excellent. Why would that be? What was added to that answer?
Well, the repetition of really and the thinking process much longer and yeah.
And there'll also be obviously the being in a role play a little bit harder to hear, but there'll be more emotion to it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's say, for example, we hear that, we don't pay attention to it, and we go, okay, so when and where do you smoke most? What have we essentially just said to the unconscious mind then by ignoring what just happened?
That is not important.
Yeah, basically saying you're not important. That wasn't good enough. Give me something better. And the way I look at it is if you do that enough to the unconscious, eventually it's going to turn around and go, well, I'm giving you all these clues. If you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to stop being a part of this session.
That makes so much sense, Scott.
I hope so.
Like seriously, just wow, blew me away.
And this all come from looking at Erickson. You look at Erickson, you read the transcripts, he doesn't say much. But then the whole Erickson movement thinks what he is saying is important when it's not.
No.
It's when he's saying it.
Yes.
You're not hearing the subtle cues of that's right or him nodding his head in a transcript. But if you watch him very carefully, as he sees an unconscious moment, he plays with it. He almost says, conscious mind, go away for a bit. I'm playing with this unconscious moment. Through nodding, through reinforcing, he'll start telling a story, he'll give it an analogy. Because he's playing that, he's stopping what he's doing consciously, which is normally to ask questions like, what is the problem? When do you feel it? How do you feel about it? Which is normal conscious questions, which are important. I don't want to dismiss that. But if you're through your first, second, third, fourth, eighth question, as soon as you see that unconscious moment, we want to play with it. And giving it a process instruction is one of the easiest ways, which is a that's right, or there you go, or what was that, or more and more. Do you see how it's got a robust versatility during the session, but also at the point where they're going into trance?
That's genius.
Okay, so hopefully that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
This is the utilization principle at its complete. Now, when I've said to you guys before, and I've said to the students, and because it was said to me